My stepdaughter replaced me with her biological dad at her engagement party and then humiliated me in front of 100 people by saying, "You were never a father to me." When her wedding fell apart, I wasn't there to pick up the pieces. I never imagined I'd write something like this, but I need to get it out. Maybe I just need someone to tell me I'm not losing my mind. My name's Robert, I'm 45, married, or I was, until recently, and for 20 years. I raised a girl who wasn't mine by blood, Anna, my stepdaughter. To me, she was simply my daughter, my little girl. Becoming dad. I met her mother, Sarah, when Anna was 6 years old. Her biological father, Mark, had walked out when she was still in preschool. No phone calls, no visits, not a single birthday card or Christmas gift. He had just vanished from her life, and for years, she never even asked about him. I stepped in. I didn't do it because I had to. I did it because I loved Sarah, and Anna deserved a father figure. I was the one who held her tiny hand on the first day of school, when she clung to my arm and begged me not to let go. I stayed up through sleepless nights when she had the flu, rocking her gently on the couch as she burned up with fever. I taught her how to ride a bike, jogging beside her until she pedaled on her own, turning back to shout, "Look, Dad, I'm doing it." I worked overtime to pay for her violin lessons she gave up after 3 months, but I never complained. I was the loudest voice at her high school graduation, the one who paid for her college tuition, and the one who helped her move into her first apartment when she wanted independence. For 2 decades, I poured my time, energy, and heart into being there. I wasn't her stepdad, I was dad. At least, that's what I believed. The engagement party last Saturday proved me wrong. Anna had just gotten engaged to Ethan, a good guy, polite, hardworking, and honestly, I thought he was a perfect fit for her. She wanted a big engagement party, the kind you see in magazines, fancy venue, live band, expensive catering, the works. I was proud of her, happy to celebrate her next chapter. When the invitations went out, I imagined myself seated at the main table, next to her and Sarah. I pictured her giving a heartfelt speech, maybe even mentioning how I'd always been there for her. I thought I'd finally get that recognition, that validation. But when I walked in, reality hit me like a punch. My name card wasn't at the main table, it was stuck on a seat near the exit, tucked away with Sarah's distant cousins and some random plus ones. I tried to laugh it off. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she was stressed and overlooked the seating chart. Then Anna stood up for her speech. She looked radiant, glowing in her new dress, holding a glass of champagne. Everyone quieted down. She smiled at the crowd and said, "I just want to thank everyone who's always supported me, who's always been there, and most of all, I want to thank my real father, Mark, for coming tonight. I love you, Dad." The room erupted in applause. People cheered, cameras flashed, and then he stood up. Mark. The man who disappeared without a trace. The man who left Sarah alone to raise a 6-year-old. The man who never once sent a birthday card, never called, never showed his face at graduations or holidays. There he was, grinning like he belonged, soaking up the attention as he walked over, and Anna, my Anna, hugged him like he'd been there all along. I sat frozen, my chest tight, like someone had driven a knife straight through me. I turned to Sarah, hoping she'd step in, defend me, acknowledge the years I'd spent raising her daughter, but Sarah just sipped her wine and muttered, "Don't take it personally, Robert." The final blow. I tried to keep my composure, but inside, I was unraveling. Later, after the crowd thinned, I walked up to Anna and forced a smile. "Hey sweetheart, can we get a picture together?" She gave me this pitying look like I was some guest she barely knew and said, "Oh, sorry Robert, but I want a picture with my real family." And then she turned away. I heard laughter ripple through the guests. Someone whispered, "That's rough." Mark smirked, wrapping his arm around her shoulder like he'd earned the right. And Sarah? She stayed silent. I nodded, swallowed the lump in my throat, and walked back to my lonely seat. I don't remember much after that, just that I slipped out early, and nobody noticed I was gone. 20 years, gone in a moment. I spent 2 decades being there for that girl. I gave her my time, my money, my love, everything a father should, and in the span of one evening, in front of everyone, she erased me. That was the night I realized something painful. I had been a placeholder, a stand-in, the man who did all the work until her real father decided to show up and play hero. When her wedding plans later fell apart, people asked me why I wasn't there to help, why I didn't step in, support her, fix things like I always had. But after that night, I couldn't, I wouldn't. Because for Anna, I was never Dad. I was just Robert. I closed my eyes, exhaling through my nose. I'm not hungry. The fridge door slammed shut with more force than necessary. Sarah's voice cut through the kitchen. Are you seriously still sulking about this? Something inside me cracked. Sarah, do you even care what she did to me? My voice came out sharper than I intended. She groaned, rubbing her temples. God, Robert, not everything is about you. I pushed back my chair, the scrape of wood against tile echoing louder than it should have. I stood, staring at her. You know what? You're right, it's not about me. It's about Anna, and how she made it very clear I don't belong in her life anymore. She was just caught up in the moment. Sarah argued. She loves you, Robert. No, I cut her off. She doesn't. Maybe she never did. And that's fine, but I'm done pretending not to see it. Sarah crossed her arms, chin lifting like a challenge. And what does that mean? I looked at her, the woman I had built a life with, the woman I thought I knew, and for the first time, I saw nothing, just an empty stranger. It means, I said slowly, I'm done being the fool in this family. I grabbed my jacket, walked out the door, and drove away. For the first time in years, I didn't know where I was going, but I knew one thing for certain, I wasn't coming back. The last goodbye. I checked into a cheap motel that night, not because I had nowhere to go, I had friends who would have welcomed me, but because I needed silence. I needed to sit with the truth. Anna didn't love me. Sarah had never really defended me. And I wasn't part of that family, not anymore. I lay on the stiff motel bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the last 20 years, Christmas mornings, birthdays, scraped knees, nights when Anna sobbed into my chest after her first breakup, and I told her she was worth more than some teenage boy could ever see. All of it, gone. And for what? Because deadbeat Mark, showed up for one night and stole the spot I'd earned over 2 decades. I clenched my jaw, fighting back bitterness. I wouldn't let it consume me. The next morning, I drove back to the house, not to fight, not to explain, just to pack. The moment I stepped inside, it didn't feel like home anymore. The furniture, the framed photos, even the smell of coffee, it all felt foreign. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone. She looked up, startled. Robert, you didn't come home last night. No, I said, walking past her toward the bedroom. I didn't. Her mug clattered onto the table. So what, you're just going to ignore me now? I didn't answer. I pulled a suitcase from the closet and began stuffing it with clothes. That was when she finally came to the doorway, arms crossed. You're being ridiculous, she said flatly. You're really going to do this over one night? I zipped the suitcase shut. It wasn't just one night, Sarah, it was every night before it, leading up to this. She scoffed. Oh, don't be dramatic. I turned to face her. Dramatic? She humiliated me in front of everyone, and you sat there. You let it happen. Her expression hardened. I didn't let anything happen. She wanted her moment. She wanted to celebrate with the father she never had. A bitter laugh slipped out. The father she never had? Sarah, I was her father. I raised her. She didn't mean it the way you're taking it. I shook my head slowly. Then tell me, Sarah, how exactly did she mean it? Her lips parted, then closed. She exhaled, looking away, and in that silence, I had my answer. I nodded once. That's what I thought. I walked past her, suitcase in hand. Where are you going? She demanded. Away, I said simply. Robert, she followed me down the hall, her voice sharp. You're not thinking this through. I stopped at the door, turning back. No, Sarah, I said quietly, for the first time in years, I am. I stepped outside. I didn't look back. Radio silence. For the first week, I told no one where I was. I shut my phone off, checked into a small Airbnb across town, and let myself breathe. Then the messages started. Sarah, are you really doing this? Sarah, you're being childish. Come home. Anna, hey, I heard you left. Are you okay? Anna, I didn't mean to upset you, but you're overreacting. Sarah, you're embarrassing yourself. Grow up. I ignored them all. On the 10th day, my phone lit up with an unknown number. I almost declined it, but something in me hesitated. I answered. Hello? There was a pause, then a voice I hadn't heard in years. Robert. Lauren. Sarah's sister, the one person who had seen everything. And suddenly, I knew this wasn't over. I raised my stepdaughter for 20 years. She humiliated me at her engagement party, then came crawling back. I was sitting in a coffee shop, scrolling through apartment listings, when my phone buzzed. Anna. I ignored it. Then Sarah. Then another, and another. By the time I checked my notifications, I had 13 missed calls. Something was wrong. I hesitated, then finally answered the next call. What? It was Sarah, and she sounded frantic. Robert, you need to talk to Anna. I clenched my jaw. I don't need to do anything. Please, she begged. She needs you. I almost hung up right then, but something in her voice stopped me. Against my better judgment, I exhaled. What happened? Sarah hesitated. Then, Ethan called off the wedding. I blinked. What? He cheated on her, she said, voice shaking. She's devastated. She keeps calling Mark, but he won't answer. She needs you. Robert, please. Anna, the same Anna who humiliated me in front of everyone, who looked me in the eye and said I wasn't family. Now she needed me. I should have felt bad for her. I didn't. I was done being her backup plan. So I said the only thing I could. Not my problem, Sarah. She inhaled sharply. Robert. I hung up. For a long moment I just sat there, staring at my phone, my pulse racing. Then I did what I should have done years ago. I blocked her number. Then I blocked Anna's. Then Mark's, just for good measure. I had wasted 20 years of my life waiting for them to see me. I wasn't wasting another second. A new beginning. That night, I got a text. Lauren, proud of you. I smiled. I didn't know where my life was headed, but for the first time in years, it was mine. But cutting ties didn't bring silence, it brought chaos. Anna and Sarah weren't going to let me walk away without a fight. The desperate messages. The first few days were quiet, then the emails began. Subject, please. Robert, I know you're mad, I know I hurt you, but please, just talk to me. Ethan left, and Dad, Mark, won't answer my calls. I feel like I have no one. I'm sorry, I really am. I need you. I stared at it for a long time. Where was this energy at the engagement party? Where was this I need you when she called Mark her real dad in front of everyone? I almost replied. Almost. But then I remembered the laughter, the way she dismissed me like I was nothing. Delete. An hour later, another email, then a text from a random number, then another email. By the end of the week, I had more than 20 unread messages from Anna, all variations of I miss you, please don't do this, I made a mistake, I need my dad. Now I was dad again? I didn't reply to a single one. Sarah's meltdown. One night, my phone rang, blocked number, straight to voicemail. Then another unknown call, voicemail. Then a text, pick up the phone, Robert. I rolled my eyes, set the phone aside, and kept eating. A few minutes later, another text, you need to fix this, she's your daughter. I sighed, didn't respond. 10 minutes later, the last message came, I hope she never forgives you. And just like that, it hit me. Sarah wasn't sorry. She didn't care what Anna had done to me, or what I'd sacrificed. She just cared that I wasn't playing my assigned role anymore. The plot twist. Just when I thought it was finally over, Lauren called. She sounded almost giddy. Robert, you're not going to believe this. What now? It's Mark. She laughed. He didn't just ignore Anna's calls, he blocked her. I blinked. What? He played the loving dad for one night, got all the praise, and then vanished. She can't reach him at all. I leaned back, letting out a slow laugh. So she threw me away for a guy who couldn't even fake caring for more than an hour? Exactly. I laughed harder. For years I had thought, one day Anna will realize Mark is a fraud. One day she'll see me for who I really am. And now she finally did. And I didn't care. I was done waiting for her to see my worth. A wedding no more. A month later, Lauren sent me a link. Headline: Local wedding venue sues bride for breach of contract. It was Anna. Ethan had moved on fast, cheating before the party was over fast. He was already with someone else. Anna? She lost her deposit, her dream venue, and her mind. I almost felt bad. Almost. The icing on the cake. One evening, I met Lauren for drinks. Halfway through, she smirked. So, I've been meaning to tell you something. I raised an eyebrow. That sounds ominous. She grinned. I filed for divorce. I blinked. Wait, what? Yeah, she shrugged. Been over it for years, but watching you walk away from people who never appreciated you made me realize, why am I staying with someone who treats me like an afterthought? I stared, then smirked. So you're single now? She grinned back. You catching on, genius? I laughed, shaking my head. Well, wow. She lifted her glass. To new beginnings. To new beginnings, I echoed. Final thoughts. I never imagined my life turning out like this, walking away from my wife, my stepdaughter, everything I thought was family. I never imagined the one person who actually saw my worth had been right in front of me all along. Here's what I've learned. Some people will never appreciate you until you're gone. Some people will never change. And sometimes, the best revenge is moving the hell on. So that's exactly what I did. And for the first time in 20 years, I'm happy.